Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning everyone. It's a pleasure to present my research on finance mixed trade, catalyst for growth and poverty reduction in Sumatra. Begin by explaining the background and rationale of this study. First, regarding the importance of strengthening the financial sector, it is well established that the financial sector plays a vital role in distributing funds, mobilizing saving, and maintaining overall economic stability. However, the Asian financial crisis of 1997 till 1998 revealed the fragile resilience of Indonesia's financial system, where the collapse of bank disrupted credit flows and severely affected economic performance. Therefore, financial deepening became essential, not only to expand financial access but also to improve capital allocation efficiency and strengthen economic stability through a more inclusive and robust financial architecture. Next, let us turn to the challenges and conditions in Sumatra. Sumatra contributes approximately 22 to 24% of Indonesian national GDP, showing its strategic economic importance. Yet, the degree of financial deepening across provinces in Sumatra remains uneven. In particular, financial access in the hinterland region is still limited, which leads to unequal distribution of growth benefits and weaker linkage between financial and real sectors. Hence, an inclusive regional financial system is urgently needed to support economic transformation and poverty alleviation in these provinces. Finally, in terms of research urgency and focus, the issue of regional financial deepening in Indonesia, especially in Sumatra, has received very limited academic attention. This study aimed to fill the gap and to provide evidence-based insight for policy formulation. Accordingly, it focused on two main research questions. First, does financial deepening encourage economic growth in Sumatra? And does financial deepening contribute to poverty reduction in Sumatra? By addressing this question, this research seeks to contribute not only to the empirical literature on financial development, but also to regional economic policy designed aimed at promoting inclusive and sustainable growth. Next, I would like to briefly explain the methodology used in this study. We apply a panel data approach combining both cross-sectional and time series data from several provinces in Sumatra. This approach was chosen because it allows us to capture variation not only across a region but also over time, providing more efficient and reliable estimates. To determine the most suitable estimation model, we conducted a series of diagnostic tests, including the Chow test, Houseman test, and Lagrange multiplier test. After identifying the best model, we also performed several classical assumption tests, such as multicollinearity and heteroscedasticity, to ensure the robustness of our result. This study estimated two main questions. The first examined how financial deepening, government spending, and trade openness affect economic growth, and the second explores their impact on poverty reduction. Overall, this methodological framework provides a comprehensive basis to understand how financial development and key macroeconomic variables interact to influence growth and poverty dynamic across province of Sumatra. Now, let me move on the result and discussion, where we explore how this relationship actually unfold in the empirical analysis. Before presenting the estimation result, let me first describe the general characteristic of the key variables observed across province in Sumatra from 2010 to 2013. Let me begin by discussing the descriptive findings. The data show considerable variation in economic growth across province. Jambi records the highest average growth at around 6%, followed by Lampung, Riau, and North Sumatra. Meanwhile, Aceh and Bangka Belitung experienced slower expansion. In terms of financial deepening, Bengkulu and Lampung exhibit stronger financial development, above 28%, indicating more advanced financial intermediation, while Aceh and Jambi remain relatively limited. Regarding government expenditure, Lampung leads with an average of about 15.8 trillion rupiahs, reflecting higher fiscal capacity, while other provinces saw varied spending priorities. For trade openness, Bangka Belitung stand out at around 38% due to its export-driven mining sector, followed by Riau and Jambi, which are also active in international trade. Lastly, poverty rate remained highest in Aceh, Bengkulu, and Sumatra, between 13 to 17%, whereas Riau and Riau Island report the lowest, around 5 to 6%. Overall, this finding highlights strong interprovincial disparities in economic structure, financial development, and welfare outcomes, providing a clear justification for employing a panel data approach to capture both regional and temporal dynamics. Building on this variation, the next section discusses the methodological framework used to empirically examine how financial deepening and related factors influence growth and poverty across provinces in Sumatra. In this section, I will briefly explain the model diagnostic. As shown in the first table, both the Chow and Hosman tests were conducted for Model 1 and Model 2. The Chow test results are statistically significant, with probabilities of 0.000, indicating that the fixed effect model is more appropriate than the pool OLS. The Hosman test also showed significance at 1% level, confirming that the fixed effect specification is for both models, as it effectively captures unobserved heterogeneity across provinces. Next, the classical assumption tests were applied to ensure model reliability. The Jarque-Bera test indicates that the residuals are normally distributed within the large sample framework of panel data. The heteroscedasticity test results show no signs of variance inconsistency, as all variables have probability values above the 5% threshold. Additionally, the multicollinearity test confirmed that correlation coefficient among dependent variables are below 0.8, suggesting no multicollinearity issues. Overall, the diagnostic result validates the fixed effect model is statistically robust and reliable, providing a solid foundation for interpreting the estimation outcomes in the next session. Now, I would like to elaborate on the estimation result and discuss the underlying argument supported by relevant literature. Starting with Model 1, which investigates the determinant of economic growth, the estimation revealed that financial deepening has a positive and statistically significant effect on economic growth. This finding suggests that an expansion in financial activities measured by the ratio of private credit to GDP can stimulate productive investment and capital accumulation. This result aligns with the financial-led growth hypothesis proposed by McKinnon and Shaw, which argue that financial liberation enhances resource allocation efficiency by fostering growth. In the context of Indonesian province, the financial system may facilitate access to credit for small and medium enterprise, reduce liquidity constraints, and promote entrepreneurship. However, the magnitude of the coefficient also implies that this effect may be more pronounced in the medium to long run, rather than generating immediate gains. Conversely, government expenditure exhibits a negative but insignificant coefficient, indicating that fiscal policy may not be operating effectively as growth engine at the regional level. This result resonates with studies such as Baru, who found that not all forms of public spending contribute positively to economic performance. In many developing contexts, a large share of government expenditure is allocated to administrative or consumptive purposes rather than capital formation. This inefficiency may explain the weak transmission of fiscal stimulus to economic output across provinces. The third variable, trade openness, saw a positive and highly significant effect on growth, confirming the validity of the export-led growth hypothesis. Regions with higher trade integration benefit from technology diffusion, increased market access, and specialization, which collectively enhance productivity. This is consistent with the finding of Frankel and Roemer, who demonstrate that openness is a strong predictor of growth in emerging economies. However, the policy implications here that trade benefits are not automatically. They depend heavily on contemporary factors such as infrastructure, institutional capacity, and human capital development, which vary sustainably among Indonesian provinces. Let us now turn to Model 2, which analyzes the determinant of poverty. Interestingly, the results show that financial deepening has negative and highly significant impact on poverty. This suggests that the more inclusive financial system play a crucial role in poverty reduction. By expanding access to credit and savings mechanism, financial deepening enables poor households to smooth consumption, invest in human capital, and build micro enterprises. This is in line with Beck, Demirkhan, and Levin, who found that financial development disproportionately benefit the poor by increasing income opportunities and reducing inequality. The result also support the concept of proper financial growth, where financial development acts as direct poverty alleviation channel rather than merely through aggregate growth effect. Meanwhile, government expenditure again saw a negative but weakly significant effect. Although this suggests some degree of poverty reduction through fiscal transfer and social program, the weak magnitude implies that such intervention may lack sustainability or efficiency. As Rafael Leon and Van and Changkan highlight, the effectiveness of public spending in reducing poverty depends not only on its volume but also on its composition and targeting. In Indonesia's case, decentralization fiscal management sometimes result in misaligned priorities between central and provincial governments. The most intriguing result arise from trade openness, which display a positive and significant relationship with poverty. This finding suggests that while openness promotes growth, it can simultaneously exacerbate inequality and vulnerability among low-income groups. Such a duality is consistent with the Kuznets hypothesis and empirical evidence by Winters, showing that trade liberalization may initially widen income disparities if local labor market and institutions are not well prepared to absorb adjustment shocks. In Indonesian context, especially in Sumatra, region with limited industrial capacity or with export competitiveness may not fully benefit from trade integration, resulting instead in job displacement or increased informal employment. In summary, these results collectively demonstrate that financial deepening serves as a dual engine, promoting both economic growth and poverty reduction, while trade openness contributes positively to growth but can undermine inclusivity. The weak role of government expenditure further highlights the need for improving fiscal efficiency and ensuring that public funds are strategically directed toward productive and equitable development outcomes. Thank you very much for your attention. I would please to take any question or engage in future discussion.